Hello, I'm here in my local park, and you'll probably be able to hear the sound of birdsong around me. And I want to talk about a book that I read recently, which I really wasn't sure what to expect from this book. The description on the inside flap, it felt kind of like a general description, and I didn't really know what the story would be. But I'm so glad that I took the plunge and read it because I found it so poignant, and it speaks so much about our uncertain position in the modern world. And the ending of the story had me in tears. It was so powerful in the statement it was making. So the novel is Ripeness by Sarah Moss. And I've read other books by this author before. There's The Tidal Zone and The Fell, and her very short novel, Ghost Wall, I think is a modern masterpiece. So I really trust this author, and she has such a great way of words and such a clear, like down to earth way of approaching the issues in our lives and in the world. And so the story overall is about the life of a woman named Edith, and she's narrating her own story and focusing on two distinct periods in her life. There are sections about in the late 60s when she is on the brink of going to study at Oxford. She is charged by her mother to go to Italy, where her sister Lydia is heavily pregnant, and her sister Lydia is a ballet dancer, and she does not want to be having this baby. And then there is other sections where she is later in her life, which is close to the present day after the pandemic, where she is living in modern day Ireland and a fairly content life. She has a lover. She has a friend, close friend named Maeve, who she sees quite often, and she seems quite content. And the sections of the story move back and forth between these two periods in her life, relating her story. And of course, from this, you have to wonder, like, well, what is the central point of this book? And that's what I really struggled to grasp. But then as I read it, it all came together for me. And what is missing from the novel is the middle section of her life, which is purposefully left out to show the contrasting experiences in these two stages of development early on in her life and then later on. And it forms together to make this story about belonging and displacement and illegitimate children, and also the space we take up in the world, the physical space that we take up as individuals in our bodies, but also the space we take up in the world, in our communities, the awareness of that people have about us within our own families, within the communities around us, and the larger country. And Edith is such a relatable character in a lot of ways. She's a big reader, which of course always will endear me to her. And she has a kind of humorous slant, a way of looking at the world. And Edith herself is somewhat uncertain about her place within her own family. Her mother, who's referred to as Maman, is a very domineering personality and very, very strong. And her mother is Jewish, and she lost some family members in World War II in the concentration camps. And her mother always has this sense and instills in Edith this sense that she should always be prepared to pick up and leave at a moment's notice. And of course, because of her family history, it's very understandable that she has this sense. And Edith is very equipped for this because she actually holds 4 different passports, and so she is someone that is kind of in between different nations and cultural identities and religions. So she's raised with some slightly Christian practices, but her mother is Jewish. And when we are following her in the later sections in Ireland, she does seem very settled and happy and content in her life. But then disquiet arises because there is conflict around the world, and people are forced to migrate. And this causes conflict within this small Irish community and between friends. And Edith finds that her political opinions are clashing with her friends, and this forms into a conflict which is so tense, but also there is this real desire to find common ground with each other. And I found it so moving, those passages, in her trying to navigate this difficult situation, which I think is a situation that a lot of us face in the modern world today. And there's a central mystery to this novel about why it is even being written, and who this story is being directed towards, and that is gradually revealed over the course of the novel as well, and builds to a larger meaning. But it almost unintentionally becomes this larger exploration of Edith's life and her place in the world, and how she centers herself as the heroine in her own story, which she has never really done before until she sat down and wrote this account of her life and the different periods in her life. And it's so poignant how it comes together in this way. And Moss, as a writer, has such an excellent turn of phrase. She has this great metaphorical use of language. There's one line in the book where she says that the damp had ice on its breath, and anyone who's woken up to a chill morning will be able to relate to this. But also she describes the process of giving birth and caring for an infant in such a vivid and tender way. I've not read many descriptions of births and caring for a child that really convey the challenges and difficulty of the experience, but also the beauty and confusion of it as well. And as the title would suggest, this novel is about ripeness, and this refers to some lines in Shakespeare, which she is contemplating, but also considering when she moves to Italy, and suddenly she is surrounded, the small place that she's staying in, there is ripe fruit all around her, and this is something that she's never really experienced in England. And there's some wonderful descriptions of pears, and how growing up in England, she has only known pears to be extremely hard, and they stay hard until then they turn and rot instantly, whereas in Italy she is able to pluck a pear from a tree, and it is so luscious and full of juice and so ripe. But of course, it is also considering the ripeness of our lives. When do our lives come into their fullest stage, as it were? Is it in a stage of pregnancy, of having children? Is it in understanding oneself and one's place in the world? And also, I really enjoy the descriptions of the contrasting landscapes between Italy and Ireland, how the physical landscapes themselves are very different, but also the communities and the sensibilities of the people. And Edith, who is someone who is always kind of in between, she is an outsider kind of looking in, and it's very endearing following her awkward attempts to try to integrate into this Italian community she finds herself in, and speaking Italian, but also in Ireland, how she does feel very settled there and has been there for a long time now since her divorce. But also, yeah, how she still recognizes that there are small differences in how she thinks about things and the way that the things are spoken about and generally conducted in the Irish community around her. So I thought this novel is really excellent, and again, the ending I think is so powerful. The statement she makes at the end of it, it absolutely seized me, and it has me still thinking about it and contemplating about it, and it brings all of the meaning of this novel together in such a striking way. So yeah, I loved reading this, and I would love to hear if you have read it and if you have any thoughts about it, or if you're interested in reading it now, or if you want to talk about Sarah Moss's writing in general in the comments below. I'd love to do that. But I hope you're doing well, and have a good day. And it's sunny and warm, not too warm, hopefully, where you are, because we're getting heat waves here in London over the next week. But I hope you're doing well, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye bye.